Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Merry DEPTHSMAS everyone. We are now at the pinnacle of December. It is Christmas Day and I hope you're all having a lovely time. What better way to celebrate than playing the most festive version of Dark Depths I could think of, which is a full-on snow build with many snow permanents. I've played a deck similar to this a couple of times before, usually splashing white for on thin ice, but I decided we would try a blue-green build and see how it fared, because I really wanted to play Ohran Viper. Now, this may be a thing where you're saying, why did you want to play this? Well, back in the day when this came out, I really enjoyed this card, and it was pretty good back in the day. I'm not necessarily sure how good it is now, but we've seen how good Psychic Frogs are. This is like a Death Touch Psychic Frog, kind of a bad Barragoyf in some ways. You know, it's drawing a card when it hits, it's going to kill creatures, it's going to trade with stuff. It's not too shabby, but it is snow. So the way our deck works is we have this card called Marit Lage Slumber. Yes, not one, but two ways of making Marit Lage in our deck. So this is whenever this or another snow permanent we control enters, we get to scry one. And beginning of your upkeep, you have 10 or more snow permanents. You can sacrifice this and get a Marit Lage. So we have a lot of snow permanents across our deck. Like the majority of our permanents are snow, including a big chunk of these. Because Dark Depths itself, it's a legendary snowland, so here we are. Now, we are obviously running some less than legacy staple sort of cards. We do have some good cards in there. So we have things like Force of Will, which is just a great catch-all answer. We've got ourselves Ice-Fang Coatl. This has seen play throughout legacy since it came out and is a solid card. Bowmasters being on the uptick makes this a little bit less enticing, but it's still a pretty solid card. It's always going to have Death Touch in our deck. And we have an Uro. We have two, in fact. The reason we have these Uros is because we're running this card, which impressed me when I played this deck before. So 3 mana sorcery, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. You may put any number of snow permanent cards from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. So this is going to draw us a lot of cards. It is only snow permanent, so it won't draw our Graven Lore. But we have this card, which cares about snow. So we look at the top card of our library. If it's a snow card, we reveal it, put it into our hand. So this is a 1/2, so it won't die to Bowmasters. It puts the card into our hand rather than drawing it, so it doesn't trigger Bowmasters. And it's going to draw many of the cards in our deck, including this Faceless Haven, which is a nice little beat stick that we can rely on. We also have Scrying Sheets, another oldie but a goodie. So this is pay 2, look at top card of your library. If it's snow, reveal it, put it into your hand. So it's the same text as this, but costs 2, but it's on a land. So we have a lot of that effect. So we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, making a lot of permanents, which we're going to be scrying for, and then hopefully just jamming some 2020s. We do still have some Thespian stages here, so we can do the old-fashioned way. And we've got ourselves an Ascendant Spirit, so we're going to have a reasonable amount of mana, I would imagine. So we have this Ascendant Spirit as something to dump our mana into. We can turn this into a big monster that also draws you cards once it's in the big mode. And if I am right here, you can activate the final ability as many times as you want. If the Ascendant Spirit is an angel, put 2+1/+1 counters on it, and it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So we can give it multiple instances of that ability. So not a bad little mana sink there. We also have the Graven Lore, which is a pretty reasonable mana sink as well. This is probably going to be a scry 4 or 5, and then draw 3 cards. So that's pretty darn solid. Sorry, draw 3 cards. Not too bad. The thing I'm a little bit wary of is having this Cold Steel Heart. I think maybe this could be Boreal Druid, because that would just help us get to 3. In fact, I'm going to change that now. Alright, so I've made that little change here. If you didn't know this one, it's a 1 mana 1/1 that taps for colourless mana, but it is snow mana. So this will hopefully give us the ability to sometimes do the turn 2 Ohran Viper, or play an Uro on turn 2, or a Glacial Revelation on turn 2, and I think that's going to be better, because if we have the Cold Steel Heart, it is better at fixing. But what is it doing? It's ramping us from 2 to 4, and we don't have any 4-drops. I think this makes more sense. This can also do some little attacks. Or chump blocking, which may be a thing we have to do, because we are a little bit on the light side when it comes to removal. Mana base wise, we've got a bunch of beautiful snow basics here, and we've got a couple of Rimewood Falls. So these are dual lands that we can fetch up, but they do come in tapped, but they're snow. A bit of a wild one. We've played this before, or something similar, but I've definitely made some changes that I think should hopefully make it feel a little bit better. We've got ourselves some Winter's Rest in the sideboard. It's creature removal. It's not great creature removal, but it is a snow permanent, and if they've just got some big scary monster, we can put this on it, it taps it down, we don't have to worry about it. We got some Graveyard Hate, we got some more counter magic, and then we got some Artifact Enchantment Hate. And that, lovely people, is the deck. The only way it could be more festive really is if we add some baubles in, but that's not what's going to be happening today. Alright, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see my videos early, because you want to block watch a load of stuff over Christmas. Now's a great time to become a YouTube member for £1 a month and do exactly that. Alright, let's see if we can wake Marit Lage from their slumber. Alright, we are on the play. We have an Enter the Battlefield tapped land. Not ideal. This is making us a little bit susceptible to a wasteland. We do have a Force of Will we can rely on to stop some scary stuff. How much am I expecting to get wastelanded? And can we realistically keep a hand that dies to wasteland? Probably not. I think we have to mulligan this. This looks interesting. I think it is better. We have the turn 2 Glacial Revelation, which should hopefully fix us. So we're probably getting rid of one Boreal Druid. Now, we do need to find a land to get this Glacial Revelation, but we have a reasonable amount of land in our deck. We're not going to get wastelanded on the first turn cycle because we have a basic. We've got a Force of Will to get us where we need to go. I believe. Windswept Heath. What flavour of Windswept Heath are we looking at here? Savannah. So possibly Nadu. Green Sun Zenith. This is just going to be for a Dryad Arbor. I'd really like to hit a land here, obviously. A land that taps for mana, even better. So I think we're going to go for the card advantage here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just out here casting 3 mana, draw 5s. Boom. That is pretty darn tasty. So we're going to have to clean up one of these cards. I think I'm probably going to get rid of a Frost Augur. That is the weaker of the options available to us. And I want to make sure we keep making land drops, because land drops are just the easiest way to trigger this Marit Lage's Slumber. We also have an Uro in the graveyard. Keen-Eyed Curator. That's really annoying for our Uro. I'm going to pitch this Frost Augur. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we have a fetch land, we get to make an Uro in a couple of turns. Not too shabby. That is a Force of Will that doesn't get to hit a Nadu. But our opponent does need 2 pieces for the Nadu to work. So, what are we doing here? I think we are playing this Marit Lage's Slumber first. Get the Slumber going. Let's have a little scry. A Glacial Revelation. That is pretty solid. But we could just put this in... Oh, it's a scry, not a surveil, isn't it? So we don't get to put it in the graveyard. Do I want this right now? It is pretty darn strong. Okay, I'm going to leave that on top. And I'm going to play out this island. We get another scry. We will leave on top. I guess we could have flashed in the Ice-Fang in response to the scry and then got another scry going. But the Ice-Fang's going to get us a scry. And we get to stack the triggers as we want anyway. But we could have got an additional scry. But maybe our opponent attacks the Dryad Arbor and we get to pick out something our opponent's got there. I suspect our opponent is quite confused as to what's happening on our side of the board. And I don't blame them. We are very much in the sauce. But it's festive sauce. The best kind of sauce. Okay. White, white, green. No? Add that blue mana in. Get that Nadu in. Oh, it's a Teferi. Right, let's flash this in. It very much has Death Touch. So I would like to draw the card before I scry, because I know the card on top is one I want. So we'll stack the triggers this way. Marit Lage's Slumber, not excellent against the old Teferi. Alright, they're just bouncing our card draw guy. Pretty interesting. I suspect this means they're just holding back the Dryad Arbor on blocks. But they could have just plussed the Teferi and waited. So we could cast on the Glacial Revelation. Or we could try and get some attackers to go wide of this Teferi with. I have 5 mana, but one of it is colourless. So we could go 1, 2, 3. We could play a Glacial Revelation. That doesn't get us to where we want to be just yet. But it does give us an Uro next turn. But that's not actually that good for right now. Okay, so we're going to play this. Get a scry. See if we want to draw it with the... yeah, I'll have this Ice-Fang. And we want this scry to happen afterwards because we want the card on top. Force of Will. That's pretty bad whilst I have a Teferi in play. So I guess we get rid of that one for now. So we have 3 mana. Our Boreal Druid, not the most exciting. I think the Boreal Druid is going to attack the Teferi here. I'm happy to trade this for a Dryad Arbor. Yep, there it goes. I guess we should have done that before doing the scrying in case we found a Force of Will. I guess we could have made that attack and played an Uro, but Uro into the Teferi is a bit awkward because I can just bounce it with ease. So we can either play a Spirit and a Boreal Druid, which gives us more attackers into the Teferi. I think that is actually better than playing out this other Ice-Fang. Misty Rainforest. I don't mind securing another land drop. It's just not that exciting. Sure, I think I'll just secure the land drop. Because as long as we keep making land drops, we're going to have stuff to do with our mana. We've got Uros, we've got Revelations, we've got the Ascendant Spirits to dump a load of mana into. How much is this to make it fly? 5 mana in total to make it a 4/4 flyer. That will walk into a whole bunch of removal our opponent can fire at us. But honestly, if our opponent's doing damage control rather than trying to kill us with a Nadu, I'm happy with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 snow permanents. We're pretty close to having Marit Lage here. Greenthorn Zenith X equals 2. We don't really have any response because of the Teferi and the nature of the things we have. I'm curious what it's going to be. Bristly Bill. Okay. Bristly Bill doing his thing. But now they have the land, so they have access to a Swords to Plowshares here. Would love to see them ponder, but that is not what is happening. So we secure our land drop here. We can just get a 20/20. I don't think I want... we could Glacial Revelation, we could... We have so many good options, which is not something I was expecting to say about this deck. Okay. I don't really want to burn... Yeah, they don't really want to burn removal on our Ascendant Spirit when they know there's a Marit Lage coming. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we pump this, we don't get to play any of our other... We get to play like an Ascendant Spirit and that's it. So we could fire all of these in at the Teferi just to clear the Teferi and turn on something like a Force of Will. But we don't know if we're drawing a Force of Will yet. And then we're going to escape Uro, which rarely feels like the wrong thing to be doing. Because card is good. This is not a snow permanent though. We could crack this in response. We don't know what colour we necessarily want here. We can get the Surveil first here. I'm just deciding if we go and get a forest. We have 1-drops. We also have a blue 1-drop in hand. Right, I'm going to go and get this island first. Get that scry off and see if we want the card on top. A Frost Augur. I don't really want that one right now. Yeah, I'll put Dark Depths into play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have access right now to a 20/20 on our next turn if our opponent doesn't kill anything. Now, I suspect they have an answer for what's going on here. We have at least a free attack with our Ice-Fang into the Teferi. If we want to kill the Teferi, we need to throw all 3 of these in, and that changes the number of things we have. So I think the correct play here is to just hit the Teferi for 1 to keep it further away from the -3. And then we have a choice between doing the Ascendant Spirit here, or we can pump some mana into the Spirit. I think the mana is going to be better, but if we pump it into the Spirit, because then we can have an evasive attacker next turn. And we can try and overburden our opponent's removal. Now, if they just go Nadu and kill us this turn, then sure. That is a thing that happens in Legacy sometimes, because they, for some reason, decided not to ban Nadu. Here it is. Here is the bird. So they get a trigger off of this land and another trigger if they have another land. They have many triggers. Okay. A Force of Will. We've kind of gone past the stage where Force of Will is that relevant in this game. But what is relevant is this combo. Now, this isn't the combo that just wins them the game, right? They need to find a little bit more, like a Nomads would be really useful here. But obviously, every time they find a land off of one of these triggers, it gives them another trigger. So it is possible they just go a bit wild here. Alright, they're brainstorming now so that they will put a land in and just keep the triggers rolling. Makes sense. And another annoying thing that's happening here is our opponent's creatures are getting very big. So on Uro is just going to get checked by the Nadu. Oh look, a fetch land. Who'd have thought? That's 2 more triggers. And when they run out of triggers, they can still crack these in our turn and get more draws. Okay, so this is now bigger than Nadu, bigger than Uro. They're going to make the Bristly Bill bigger than Uro as well. We're not big on the old removal front here either. Right, they're stopping there, and then they're going again next turn. Attacking with their Bristly Bill. Are they ploughing out Uro? They are ploughing out Uro. I don't really care about taking the damage from the Bristly Bill. It's not what this game is about in my mind. We're about to have a 20/20. Now, our opponent might have another Swords to Plowshares. That's certainly within the realms of possibility here. But we've just gained 6 life, so we don't care about taking 4. Ascend our spirit somewhat. Obviously not the most useful into what we're looking at right now. Okay. We have a 2020. We did it. An Ohran Viper. I love an Ohran Viper. So this attacks the Teferi, I guess. Because again, we don't want this to have -3 on it, and this is going to become the Abyss very soon. I suppose we could play this first and see if we find anything that changes how we want to play this turn out. I think that makes more sense just having Death Touch guys than it does having something like a Glacial Revelation popping off. We couldn't cast this in response to our Marit Lage Slumber because our opponent had the Teferi in play. So we can play an Ohran Viper. Not a phrase you hear an awful lot in Legacy, but here we are. So this can become a 4/4. And then next turn it can become a 6/6 and maybe larger. Okay, I think the Death Touch creature is going to attack into Teferi. I do not believe they're going to trade their Nadu for our Ice-Fang. They might crack their fetch land now and get some triggers and see if they find something they want. So if we want to put 3 counters on this, we don't get to play the Ohran Viper. Would I rather have the Ohran Viper in play? I do think Death Touch guys are actually pretty solid here. Let's just keep making... I guess we could have used a Boreal Druid here, but it's just another potential chump blocker. Weird that this creature isn't snow. Now I think about it. Maybe Marit Lage should be snowy. So they didn't care about any of these for the purposes of the Force of War that we know they have in hand, or they don't have a blue card. We're going to see a Hedge Maze here. Meticulous Archive. Sure, they've already got the Hedge Maze. So we're doing some Narduing. So they get to scry first and see if they want the card. Sorry, Surveil. Oh look, a fetch land. What are the chances, eh? This Nardu is big, but it will never be big enough to beat our Marit Lage because this is indestructible. However, they can draw a lot of cards and find a removal spell for this, like a Teferi, a Prismatic Ending, or a Swords to Plowshares. Although we get to see what they're drawing for now. Alright, they're brainstorming so they can put more lands on top. Look, another land. Who would have guessed? Alright, they have a large Nardu. And they can make it bigger this turn as well. Because that was all just in our end step. Let's move this down. Our opponent's got so many permanents now. But we have to kind of let our opponent play it out because we do have a very potent win condition in play right now that will force chump blocks if they don't find removal. They shuffled their library. The fact they had the Teferi as well, so we couldn't like sandbag a Force of Will because we had a Force of Will at one point. Right, so now they have a Nomad, so this is going to be drawing them a lot of cards. But until they find a removal spell, we can't scoop. They find the removal spell. It's pretty good for them, obviously. But this particular build of Nardu that our opponent's playing, what they call the Zenith build, doesn't have access to an I win button. They don't just do all their thing and then create a Hoofus or whatever, or find a Separate Illusionist and mill their deck and play the Oracle. They don't have that in their list. So I guess we're supposed to let them play it out. Right, so I've got a backup Nardu. What they can do is they can replay this Nardu and it resets all the counters. Oh, sorry, not the counters. Well, it resets the counters because it will be a fresh one, but it resets all the triggers so they can then go again because it's a new game object. So the twice per creature doesn't count anymore, and they get to start again with another 2 per creature. Now, until they find a way of dealing with our Dark Depths, we are in a spot where we might be able to win this game, as wild as that is from this position. Now, they are going to get to draw 8 cards on our turn, probably more, but we'll see. Their plan could be to make 2 creatures large enough to attack through our Marit Lage, but that doesn't seem great. We also have a draw 4 to 6 in our hand, probably. We can get some more cards. Not necessarily these cards are going to do the most for us, but they'll do something. Okay, they found a Prismatic Ending. How does that make you feel about playing the rest of this game out? We have a Death Touch blocker, so they can't attack with anything until they clear our Ice-Fang. And we've also got an Ohran Viper, so on the ground that's not going to work either. Or is this going to be a Sylvan Safekeeper? Just to give them protection for their Nardu from our non-existent removal spells. Obviously our opponent doesn't know that. Okay, they've got a Delighted Halfling. Sure, this is just 2 more triggers. It doesn't really matter what they get at that point. But they have to find a way of winning here. They've only got 19 cards left in their library to do it. Let's move this all the way over here. And it's a little bit ugly having it over here, but we need the space on the board. We don't have anything we can sink this 1 mana into. Let's pay 1. Let's get a Glacial Revelation going, please. Is this worth one of your counter spells? It is worth a Force of Will. Play this out. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. So we can activate this once and activate this once. But we've just got a bunch of Death Touch guys. Are we attacking? I don't think we're attacking here. I think we're just going to try and annoy our opponent. I don't think getting in for little chip shots is what we need to do here. We need to tax our opponent's ability to actually deal with all of our annoying chaff that we have. Which is a lot. Alright, I'm just going to do this now so I can get some S6 value here. Do we have any more basics here? I don't think we do we? Oh, we don't have any lands to fetch. Whoops. That's just some free life for our opponent there. Alright, we can just F6 now until we get to blocks. A Sylvan Safekeeper. I'm surprised they didn't get that and they got the Delayed Halfling instead. I don't think they need a lot of mana here. There's a Plow. But if they draw too many cards, they could just deck here. They may have one Endurance so they don't deck. But I've seen a lot of lists that don't have the Endurance lately, so maybe our opponent is on that train. We can also scrape back some time because we've been thinking a lot and our opponent is actually ahead on clock, which is kind of impressive given the operations they have to put into play. Our opponent's got a whole bunch of cards, but we have another flying blocker, so we're not just going to get windmilled out by the Nadu. The Teferi won't go up to bounce anything just yet. Okay, so we're seeing a Plow here, another Plow. We've still got one Death Touch flying blocker. We don't have the Ground Pounder anymore in the Ohran Viper, but that's okay. How big is their Nadu? So we know they got these Force of Wills. We're not going to resolve another Death Touch creature, so you can probably scoop it up here. Okay, what looks good here? Basically nothing. That's not ideal, is it? Force of Vigor isn't going to hit anything of our opponent's permanents. They're not a graveyard-based deck. Force of Negation, when they're a creature combo deck, looks a bit awkward. And our creature removal spell doesn't actually remove the creature, so it's not actually going to impact their Nadu plan. Now, it can allow us to swing through if that's something we're interested in. But I think we're probably just on the main deck plan again. Okay. Making 2020s isn't great against the Prismatic Ending Teferi Swords to Plowshares deck anyway. But if they were like just a fair Green Sun Zenith, let's say that, I don't know, Nadu Winged Wisdom got banned or something. What a crazy thought, I know. But let's say that was banned, so you end up with the sort of the Yorion Zenith decks that you used to have that have to play a fair game. Then we'd have had some purchase there. Okay, we have some Force of Wills. We've got Boreal Druid into Marit Lage's Slumber if we want it. Or Great Glacial Revelation. There's definitely some options for us. Here we go. It's a mana dork. Certainly not the best mana dork, but it's definitely not the worst mana dork either, so I'll take that. So we might have to be keeping our Marit Lage's Slumber, looking for more blue cards so we can have more access to Force of Wills. Because that's our main tool in this matchup to stop what our opponent's doing. So we might have to discard if we draw too many cards. That's not a horrible place to be, is it? Okay, we have a lot of Marit Lage's Slumber in our hand. So we need to discard 2 cards. I'm going to discard a Marit Lage's Slumber because it's, I guess it is blue. We could just discard a couple of Boreal Druids. Just have these as our blue cards for Force of Will. I don't hate that. Although we want to keep one Boreal Druid actually so we can play a Slumber into a Boreal Druid. So maybe we do get rid of one Slumber here. But we have double Force of Will to stop scary things our opponent can do. It's just going to be a Green Sun for 1. It is. We have to counterspell this because this gets them the Delighted Halfling, unfortunately. Okay, we have some options. So we can play this one out and then play the Boreal Druid and get the Surveil. I think that's probably where we need to be here. Sorry, it's a Scry, not a Surveil. I keep calling it that. Scrying Sheets. I would very much like to have a land, so I will keep this. It's not a coloured source, but it is a land. I will play this Boreal Druid. So we've got colourless mana off of the Boreal Druid, which is going to be funneled into like our Frost Augurs and stuff like that. So we do have uses for this colourless mana. It's going to be a Teferi, then we're going to have to fire off a counterspell again. I think we get rid of the Frost Augur. But now our opponent's got a relatively clean runway for the Nadu. So play this one out. Ascendant Spirit. So what are we doing this turn? We could play the Spirit, upgrade it once, and then... If we put this on top, we can activate this. draw a card, and then we could play an Ice-Fang and just draw another card, or we could do Ascendant Spirit, but then we're not really using our mana that efficiently. So I think we're going to be more efficient with our mana and get our little Ice-Fang down. So we want to scry first, so let's stack them that way. Another Ascendant Spirit isn't really what I want at the moment. I don't mind having a couple. Oh, Force of Will is the perfect draw here. We just need to keep forcing our opponent's things until we win. A Teferi Time Raveler. Well, that's getting forced as well. A Frost Augur. That's not really the one I wanted here. Let's play this Ascendant and see what we're doing with our mana after this. Don't really want that. So we could try and draw a card. Or we could spend 2 mana to pump this. I think we're just going to Scrying Sheets here. Ah, I see. We will attack for an almighty 1 damage. We are 2 snow permanents away. We can play Uro and get some other stuff going soon. Nomads and Core, are they going to play a Nadu as well? No. Okay, that's good news. So we have an Uro here. I will fire this one in, I think. We can't bring that back just yet, but we can attack with these 2 and pump the Ascendant. So we can cast an Uro next turn if we want to. We've gone through 10 more cards of our library than our opponent. That's pretty cool. But it's not going to matter if they just play a Nadu and kill us. Kind of, in my opinion, the Nadu invalidates a lot of mid-range strategies. Or makes them become Nadu strategies, I suppose. I don't mind having a little bit of Surveil action here. Glacial Revelation. That is not a snow card, so we can't draw it right now. Unless we're putting the Uro in, but we can't put the Uro in because we don't have the other mana we need. I'm going to put it on the bottom. So, like, we could obviously draw the Graven Lore. That's not really where we need to be here. So, what are we up to? We can pump this. It will die. Play this, see what's on top. We can always Scrying Sheets afterwards. Being able to scry with every land you play is cool, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10. We can put this in our hand, but it doesn't actually help. I think we'll put it on the bottom for now. So we could pump this, but I think it's going to die. It does feel like a Source of Plowshares is in our future. Alright, let's get attacking and see what our opponent wants to do here. I would like to try and Scrying Sheets to find another snow permanent that we can put into play. Failed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because if they kill any of our creatures, we don't get a Marit Lage. But they might just have a piece of removal they're sandbagging for the Marit Lage. But once we've got the Marit Lage, they have to point the removal there, and it makes more sense to pump our Ascendant afterwards. Blue mana, but not off their island. There you go. Use your island. No? White mana. Okay. Another Nomads. Alright. I would like a 20/20, please. We're doing it. We're doing something, at least. Let's fire this one in to get ourselves our forest, so we can cast the Uro if we want to. So we attack with this one and this one. Let's pump this into a 4/4. And then I will deploy the Uro. Doesn't really matter what we take out here. I guess we take out the forces in case they have some surgicals. We should have taken them all out. Right, they have a force. Pitching a Force of Will. Do you have a removal spell for Marit Lage? They do, but that does take us up to a whole bunch of life, which our opponent will have to work through. Now, once they get their combo rolling, it's not the hardest thing to work through that because you just basically have your deck in your hand. We're going to see some sort of cantrip. Okay, here comes the Nadu. Our opponent is only on 7. Right, we need to keep an eye on what they're drawing here, so we have a little bit of information. I think I'm surprised they haven't just played the Bristly Bill out now, because then they can start pumping their creatures. I think I would do that. Because they do need to work through our life total. They need to have creatures that can effectively block. Because we have a 6/6 on attacks next turn. Now they could ponder instead. This should be the Bristly Bill. There it is. Right, Prismatic Ending. That is a useful removal spell against our Ascendant Spirit. I don't think we can win from this position now. Alright, yeah, Nadu sucks. Let's go to round 2. Okay, I guess we're on an aggro Ascendant Spirit hand. Not a phrase you hear particularly often in Legacy, but here we are. Given our hand, I think we are just playing the Ascendant Spirit out. Our opponent is mulligan to 5, so we might just get him wombo comboed. Schooling Tarn, a Mishra's Ball. Okay, so this looks somewhere in the ballpark of Grixis tempo would be my guess. Which means maybe we're not playing out the Ascendant Spirit straight away. We'll see what we draw and see if it changes how we feel. Our opponent saw something weird. An Ohran Viper. That is a weird one. Right, I think I am going to play out the Boreal Druid. Because then this can be like Daze or Lightning Bolt bait, that sort of thing. And then hopefully our Ascendant Spirit can sneak through. We also don't want to play Ascendant Spirit without the mana to at least turn it into something that doesn't die to Orcish Bowmasters. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Force of Will. We only have one blue card that we can pitch, and that's our Ascendant Spirit. But Force of Will was pretty bad in this matchup anyway. Alright, let's try an Ascendant Spirit. Right, we're going to wait till our opponent cracks his fetch land. I imagine they're going to get a Surveil land here. Nope, they've got nothing. Probably no attacks here. This is awkward now because Orcish Bowmasters can come down and ping this. I think we're supposed to not activate it, which feels awful. Maybe we should have activated it when we had a better chance. So this could be a turn to get our Rimewood Falls out. Right, I'm going to attack with this Ascendant Spirit. If our opponent blocks, we just let it go through. Let's get Boreal Druid. Get another Rimewood Falls. Or our first Rimewood Falls, in fact. Nice art on this, though. I'll pass. When they crack this fetch, okay, now we activate this. Playing around the Bowmaster. If they have a Lightning Bolt, then sure. But I just don't want this getting picked up by our Bowmasters. Sauron's Ransom. Wasn't expecting that one. It's an oldie but a goodie. Well, it's not even that old, is it? It's the One Ring. But I haven't seen it for a long time. Feels like a very long time in Legacy since we've seen this one. The top pile will be presented face up. So I think we probably want to split up the Brainstorm and the Tamiyo. That's an obvious one. So we want to split up the Brainstorm and the fetch land as well, which means the pile should be Brainstorm, Mishra's Bauble. Should it be this way up? I think so. Because Tamiyo without the Brainstorm isn't that good. And they don't really need a land. They've already got enough mana. Okay, they took the top pile with the Brainstorm and the land. Sorry, the Brainstorm and the Bauble. Now, the Bauble is obviously a redraw. But they don't have a Tamiyo, which is obviously going to be a pain for us. We can actually deploy our Ohran Viper next turn. It does die to Lightning Bolt, though. Alright, there's the Bauble we knew about. It's a free Surveil trigger as well. But again, I think it's better than giving them access to the Tamiyo or the land with the Brainstorm to shuffle. Right, there's the Brainstorm, got some Surveiling. I kept it on top. Not the best for us, perhaps. And then we have this Ohran Viper, so maybe they will be inclined to wasteland our green source. And Lightning Bolt. I assume this is targeting, yep, the Ascendant Spirit. Goodbye, anything we had going for us. We have just kind of drawn a little bit flat. We do have an Ohran Viper, though. That's a pretty solid card. Faceless Haven. Don't hear that one. Let's get the snake down and then crash for 2. Okay, we got a Ponder. Goodbye, Faceless Haven. You were a good draw while you were around. I don't want to see a Lightning Bolt on our Ohran Viper. An Unholy Heat. Okay, I guess we didn't see the Lightning Bolt on our Ohran Viper. I spoke too soon there. Should have said a removal spell. Okay. So our opponent puts us down to 13. We put them down to 13. So we are very much losing this race. But, you know, we could draw something useful. There are useful cards in our deck. We could draw one of them. I kind of want to get this Dark Depths down so that we at least have access to drawing Thespian stage for the win. We'll see what we draw and then make some decisions. Like we have an Uro. Uro is very good against these Delver strategies. Thespian stage, that's the one, isn't it? I guess we can just hold up a Force of Will here. I don't think these little chip shots are going to matter when our plan is now Dark Depths. Just hard cast Force of Will, something like a Murktide or some other spooky thing. So this Ring Bearer isn't doing that much right now. I can't remember what the Ring Bearer does on the first stage. I think it just lets them not be blocked by bigger creatures? Bigger or smaller creatures? Where's this Sauron's Ransom? Nope, it's not going to pop out and tell us what the ring does. Oh, it's up here, isn't it? What am I talking about? Legendary, can't block a creature with great power. Yes, okay. A Murktide Regent. Well, this is the sort of thing that we've been holding up this Force of Will for this turn. We can also play this around a Daze. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Oakley Dokley. I will make it on our turn, I think. Force of Will. So they've seen a lot of cards in their deck, so it's certainly possible they have something like a Brazen Borrower they have access to. Would love to have drawn another blue card somewhere in this game. Because if we had this Marit Lage with Force of Will, I would feel pretty good. Do you have your one of Brazen Borrower? Our survey says 2 cards in hand. Petty Theft. They do. They always have it. Okay. This game is now, I wouldn't say unwinnable, but it's looking pretty bad. We need to draw Ice-Fangs and stuff like that. If this is the blue card, though, imagine how easy we could be putting this game away. Alright, 4 life left. That is importantly not 3 life. Rimewood Falls. Well, you are kind of useless, aren't you? We could play it now, but then we don't get to play Force of Will around days. We are just dead though to their flyers, so good night. Let's try doing some sideboard stuff here. So the Winter's Rest is actually going to be useful removal against what our opponent's doing. I think the Graven Lore is maybe a little too cute here, and then we'll trim to Force of Wills because this is an expensive thing to be doing. So have the Winter's Rest in, have this sort of stuff. Like, if we just do Uro stuff as well, would be a-okay, because that's going to be very useful against what our opponent's putting down. I don't mind having a couple of Force of Wills. Maybe we need more because of how our deck is constructed without any real removal. But, you know, we've got Death Touch creatures. We've got the Winter's Rests. I think we'd be okay with just a couple there. Because, like we saw in the last game, it just sort of sat in our hand and didn't do anything, because we couldn't have the other card to go with it. And then we also had the problem of, generally speaking, Force of Will not being great against Delver anyway. We have a lot of land, but we have something to do with a lot of land. I will keep this. We have a redraw. We have a good mana sink. If our opponent's pondering on turn 1, then we can make this so it doesn't die to Bowmasters without giving up immediate bolt value. A ponder. Okay, so we can pump this and attack for 2. That way we're not playing the Ice-Fang into days. And then if we get an opportunity to put this to a 4-4 when our opponent doesn't have Lightning Bolt mana available, then I will most assuredly take that. And then we'll have the biggest thing on board until a Murktide comes down. Then hopefully we can check with the Ice-Fang or whatever. Force of Will isn't the worst here. We can use it if we need to. If we feel like protecting this Ascendant Spirit is what we need to do, our opponent's deck is going to need an Unholy Heat to kill this. They have 2 types in their graveyard. If they cast a Lightning Bolt, that will be a 3rd type. So are we supposed to protect our creature from Lightning Bolt when they have access to days as well? Not so on that one. A Brainstorm. Okay. I don't know how I feel about going all in on an Ascendant Spirit. So I have 3 types at the moment. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Okay, so we get to make our 4-4 without worrying about what our opponent's doing. That's pretty solid. I think we need a green source rather than a blue source here. Oh, no, we want to be a 4-4, please. Who's the aggro deck now, opponent? If we can draw another blue card to go this Force of Will and still deploy the Ice-Fang, that'd be good. I think I'd still rather deploy the Ice-Fang than hold up a Force of Will next turn, but we'll see. We could always just hold the Force of Will and just start putting counters on this and drawing extra cards. Our little 6/6 Psychic Frog, why not? Surgical Extraction. Okay, our opponent didn't really know what we were up to, so they boarded in some weird cards against us. I don't think you want Surgical Extraction against us. But again, our opponent doesn't know that because we're playing some pretty festive nonsense over here. We'll get back to some more normalish decks after Merry DEPTHSMAS is over. Still maybe play a couple more Depths decks. A Murktide Regent. 5 cards have entered the exile zone. How big is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be a 7/7. If we counter this and they have a daze, it is lights out for us. I don't think we get to do that. I think we're better off using this Ice-Fang around a daze to answer the Murktide. And if they don't attack, then we can sort that as well. Let's go get an island and pass. So we can grow our Ascendant Spirit if we need to. It just puts 2 counters on it. And then the next turn we can put 2 counters on it again, and then we'll have the biggest creature. And then we can swing through, get the card draw, all backed up by a Force of Will. Not too shabby. We have 3 more fetchables left in our deck and 2 fetch lands in hand, so really don't want to draw any more fetches. Brainstorm, be my guest. Valley of Gorgoroth, or Wasteland, as it is actually known. I really hate these cards. I think they should have the name on the top and then Valley of Gorgoroth underneath it where the Wasteland is. But that's just my opinion. If they don't attack here, that'd be interesting. I'm a little bit concerned about Brazen Borrower, but maybe they just fire it off then anyway. Let's pump the creature and get another blue source here, that's fine. So we can activate this again. Let's see if they want to block this. This is a 2-turn clock as well. And we're attacking first, so we are advantaged here. I don't want to hard cast this Force. This is going to be Ice-Fang getting pitched to it. Would have liked to have drawn some non-lands. That would have been nice. That's it, opponent. You read my card multiple times over. So I could actually let's draw another card, but I don't need to. We'll just take the card. So now we have the Ice-Fang if we want it. I could have deployed the Boreal Druid, but I don't think that really matters here. We at least have the option of hard casting a Force of Will. I don't really want to take that option, but it's possible. I would have loved this to have been a blue card. Sauron's Ransom. Okay. I think this is okay to resolve. Murktide Regent, Force of Will, Murktide Regent. How big can the Murktide be? 1, 2, so it'll be 5. It'll pump the other one. What I can give them 2 Murktides, or I can give them Dragon's Rage Channeler, Force of Will. I guess I could give them... No, we'll do it this... Okay, so they kept the Dragon's Rage Channeler and the Force of Will. So our Ice-Fang is not the most likely thing you've ever seen to resolve. But we're just trying to dodge removal spell on our guy. Dragon's Rage Channeler, 4 cards in hand. One of those cards is the Force of Will. 3 cards left in hand. So this is just going to block here. Let's try this Ice-Fang out. I think this is going to get counterspelled. There it is. Okay. Opponent goes to 4. How many cards are getting surveilled? Okay, they put it on the top. So not a lot of value, I guess. I'll take it. I wish this had been a blue card. So this is probably not connecting. So we take 7 this turn. We're probably going to take a lot more next turn. So we need something useful here. Keep drawing these unplayable lands. Okay. So we attack with this. The Tamiyo blocks. If they have a brainstorm, they brainstorm away. 7, 8, 9, 10. So they have lethal. We play this. They still have lethal. I think we play the Boreal Druid. And then we play this land. So we can have an 8/8 on blocks in this Ascendant Spirit. So we can block this and block one of these, provided they don't get Delirium. We have land, instant, creature. So sorcery is one of the harder ones for them to get. This is where they immediately just cast a Ponder and ruin our day. A red elemental blast. Alright, we'll let them surveil first, and then we have to cast this Force of Will. We have 1 basic left in our deck to fetch up. We have drawn an awful lot of lands this game. The problem we have here is now this isn't going to be bigger than the Murktide. So we might have to chump block. But our opponent has to attack with like everything to do that. So we block here, and we block here, and we take 8, and then we die. So we have to chump block this Murktide, unfortunately. Do the math properly, opponent. Just attack with those 2. No, they've done the math properly. Okay, so we have to go to blocks here. This has to block here. This has to block here. I guess we can block the Ring Bearer. Not that really matters here. We take 2. Oh, so annoying. The turn we played the Ice-Fang, if we'd have pumped our guy another turn, we'd have been in a much better spot. I think that was a play mistake. Obviously, you know, we've drawn almost all lands this entire game. We play this main phase, as annoying as that is, because we might find some other stuff we want to cast at sorcery speed. Dark Depths. Alright, we'll play that. Potential 2020 on the horizon. We have the ability to trade with this Murktide. I'm surprised they didn't attack the Tamiyo last turn if they're attacking with everything and forcing blocks. So they can do this. They can crack this clue in case they find a lightning bolt to win the game. Our opponent agrees. Interesting, they didn't leave up a black mana. It suggests they don't have any black removal in their deck. Not instant speed ones anyway. Alright, that'll do. Yeah, let's see how many lands we drew here. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 non-lands out of 19 cards. We saw this game, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 5. 5 non-lands out of 19 cards. That's obscene. Now, obviously we had fetches, which does change the math on that, but that is still very unfortunate. And imagine if we had, like, a blue spell on that clutch turn with our Force of Will. Like, this game would have been pretty easy to win for us. So I think it speaks well on our deck, but it's just a little bit awkward with our particular draw. But we're not running brainstorms and stuff. We have a lot of scry action and card draw. So we should be pretty smooth. It just didn't really work out for us. Let's go to round 3. We can't keep this hand. Let's mulligan it. Yeah, this one works. This is a turn 2 front side of Uro or a Glacial Revelation. Probably the Revelation if we need to keep hold of the Uro for the blue card purposes. What are we putting back here? It probably has to be the Scrying Sheets. We've already got a big card draw event engine here, as well as the Uro. And as we've seen with the Revelation, it's been drawing us like 5 cards a pop. Almost like we built our deck specifically to make this draw us a lot of cards. Here we go. Boreal Druid time. I'm glad I put these in over the Cold Steel Hearts. It was a good last minute change. We're playing against another Nadu deck by any chance? A Plains. Are you going to plow our guy? They're going to plow our guy. Sure. We don't get to Glacial Revelation now. That's fine. We'll play this Misty Rainforest. We can go and get our Enters the Battlefield tap land to get that out of the way. It's also not a land we particularly want to draw. It does expose us to Wasteland, but if our opponent plays a Tropical Island, exactly like I said, then it means we don't have to worry about Wastelands, because our opponent is very much on the Nadu train. A Nomads and Core. Yep. Oh, I passed priority there, so I guess we're not getting that land now. Let's go and get the island, and this is probably the forest. So we can play this Uro, or we can just Glacial Revelation. I think it's the Revelation. I'm not expecting a Daze out of our opponent. These decks don't really have the Dazes in. We're not sure if they're the Zenith build or a Breakfast build right now. Alright, they're Force of Willing. I don't think we get to Force of Will that. I think we're just going to try and Force of Will their Nadu and then have this Uro to pick up the pieces afterwards. If they have two Nadus, then... Ooh, black mana. Let's try that. Alright, so we countered their Nadu. They have two cards in hand. Do they have access to more Nadu? If we have a fetch land, we have Uro front side, Uro backside over the next 2 turns. Or we could play an Ohran Viper. I want to play an Ohran Viper. I came here to play Ohran Viper. Here we go. It draws cards. It checks their guy. It means that if they do have a plow and they want to fight on this, it doesn't get plowed at our Uro. Now, if we drag this game out longer, it means our opponent gets closer and closer to finding their combo again, which, you know, just goes over top of everything in Legacy right now. A Teferi. So this is a punish for playing the Viper. Whereas the Uro wouldn't care about the Teferi, but then they'd be upping the Teferi instead, which has its own problems towards us as well. So, are we doing the Viper? Are we doing the Uro? Let's find out. Glacial Revelation is better than either of those. Let's draw a whole bunch of cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Look at that. What a sight to see. I'm going to play this Faceless Haven so we have something that can pressure the Teferi next turn, because it won't have Summoning Sickness next turn. Probably just means they hold back their Nomads, but if they're blocking with their Nomads, that's also fine. So we should be able to blow something up. It does have Vigilance, so we can attack with the Faceless Haven and then deploy the Marit Lage Slumber, so we get a little bit of extra cheeky value out of that one. I believe this card was banned in like... Maybe it was standard? I can't remember. It was definitely banned in like a low power format, which is kind of wild. They put one card on top of their library with their Surveil land. Do you have the Nadu? No, it was a Brainstorm they put on top. That would make sense. That is a good way of finding the Nadu, which obviously will shred us. Okay. Here's Nadu. So they get to draw 4 cards now, 4 cards on our next turn. I don't think we're winning that. Oh dear, oh dear. Why didn't they ban Nadu? So last time we played this, we didn't change anything. I think we're in kind of a similar situation. Maybe we have a couple of Force of Negations instead of Graven Lore, so that we can at least counter the Teferi. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, feels like a tough one. Almost like design mistakes that break formats probably shouldn't be legal, but maybe that's just crazy talk from me. Just trying to have some fun, festive enjoyment over here. I do like that depths, but I don't think we can keep a hand that doesn't have any spells that we can cast. Let's mulligan. What? Why are you doing this to me, deck? Let's mulligan. Okay, I guess we keep this. Do we get to keep a Force of Negation here? I don't think we do. And we just get rid of this, and we just try and Ascendant Spirit our way into this game. It's certainly a Magic the Gathering card that we're playing. One of the all-time cards that we've played. That is a Tundra. Feels like there might be a Sword to Plowshares in our future. Let's just see if there is or not. Okay, there isn't, because otherwise we'd have plowed in response to make us gain less life. Oh no, they just want us to gain 2 life. They just don't care about playing properly because they're playing Nadu. Understood. Sure. So now I play the Nadu. Oh, sorry, not the Nadu, the Uro. Probably wants to be a green source. I think we want to put in 1, 2, 3. I think we put in the Thespian stage weirdly. I guess we see what we draw first. Maybe that changes things. Force of Negation. I guess we want the Rimewood Falls now so that we can use our Force of Negation. So we put the Thespian stage in so that we can play the Dark Depths on the next turn and make a 2020. But making 2020s against the Teferi, Prismatic Ending, Swords to Plowshares, Flying Blockers deck is always not the best place to be. If you're lucky, it can remove their Nadu. But usually not before they get some value. Okay, so this makes our Force of Negation blank. Good, good, good. Another one of these. I'm going to play this land out. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in graveyard. So we're still not there. We could try and Thespian stage our Misty Rainforest. So we can put this into the graveyard as an extra land for Nadu. For Uro, sorry, not Nadu. Same mana cost. But one of these cards is not like the other. Bristly Bill. Yep. At least if they're doing this, it means they're not Naduing us immediately. Alright, I'm going to try and copy their Misty Rainforest here. Oh wow, let's do it. That gives us an Uro this turn. I could have cracked this and prevented this play from happening. Now, they might just have this covered with a plow or whatever anyway. But it was something they didn't have to let us have access to. If they try and pending this, we can Force of Negation it, which I think is something I would use a Force of Negation on. Because this is obviously a bit sketchy in terms of what our opponent can deploy. Alright, we don't have to even pitch our Ice-Fang anymore. We can just hardcast a Force of Negation. But yeah, so we can save it from a pending. We can't save it from a Teferi because of the Delighted Halfling. We can save it from a plow at end step here, though. Alright, we're just getting the Bristly Bill stuff going. I do quite like Bristly Bill as a card. I think it's fun. Obviously, I don't think it needs to be called Bristly Bill Spine Sower. It's like, here's the joke, and here's the joke again. It could have just been Bristly Bill, would have been fine. But I like this card, but the fact is it only really shows up in busted decks where it's abusing it, like this Nadu deck, which is a shame. But I digress. We want to wait for the white spell to go on the stack before we crack our fetch land, I think. We don't want to give them a window. Alright, Bristly Bill is getting large, but we can take hits from the Bristly Bill. Oh, a Caracas, you say? Yeah, why shouldn't they have a Caracas? Alright, I'm going to try and kill this Bristly Bill. Doesn't matter which one. Probably the Forest, because we have access to the Ohran Viper, which takes up green-green. Whereas we're not really doing blue-blue stuff for the most part, outside of like these spells. Alright. Do I get to kill Bristly Bill? Some powerful Kill Bill action. Harm's Way. The next 2 damage of your choice will be dealt to you and opponents you control is dealt to any target instead. Oh, so this is kind of a weird removal spell. I guess. Okay, we're just Force of Negation it. So it's kind of a removal spell that targets, so it can trigger Nadu stuff. Yeah, sure. Sure, why not? Just absolutely... So this is going to kill the Halfling instead. Oh no, it's going to deal damage to itself. Even worse for us. Cool, cool, cool. What is our plan? So we got rid of our Uro because it doesn't work into the Caracas. This is not helping us out. We can go and get a not Surveil land, a enters the battlefield tapped land. I guess the plan is to draw the Marit Lage, the Dark Depths to make the Marit Lage. That is where we're at now. And hopefully our opponent taps the Caracas at the right time, and that works for us. Unlikely. If this is Nadu into land. Okay, this looks like a Green Sun Zenith for Nadu. I will try and counterspell this and keep the game going for a bit longer. Deal myself some sanity damage by letting this game continue. Could just let them win instead. But we get to copy their Caracas here, and then we can start bouncing their Bristly Bill. And that's not the worst thing in the world. And Nomads. Sure, I understand. If you have Nadu, we lose the game. Let's go and get another Rimewood Falls. We have one more fetchable left in the deck after this. Glacial Revelation is certainly the sort of card that can help us out here. Let's draw lots and lots of cards. Okay, we'll just draw 6. Boom. Look at that. What a powerful, powerful display. This one out, we have access to 2 Ice-Fangs, and we can bounce this. Alright, we are cooking. Obviously, if I find Nadu, we lose the game, because that's what Nadu does. if they cast a like Zenith, we can start firing off these Coatls to try and keep things going. So they should be putting counters on other creatures now. Yep, our opponent has worked that one out. Alright, let's make an Ice-Fang. Make another Ice-Fang. Let's go to blocks. Let's bounce the Bristly Bill. Okay, big Glacial Revelation was big. There's Bristly Bill again. But now we're just in this holding pattern. Well, it's not really a holding pattern. We're in this awkward situation, I would say. Start cracking with this. Doesn't feel the best. The Glacial Revelation again, what is that actually doing for us? Not the most. I don't really want to redraw my hand in a way right now. Right, let's just bounce this Bristly Bill. Then we'll activate the Faceless Haven. This swings pretty hard. Then we can dump out some slight little guys here. Get Frost Augur. This can draw some extra cards later on. Let's get... we could Glacial Revelation. We haven't played a land yet. Alright, let's Glacial Revelation actually. Because we could find the little blue guy that deals loads of damage. Ascendant Spirit, that's the one. So, play this land out. Play out this Ascendant Spirit. And then we can just play out this Boreal Druid. That's more mana that we can funnel into our Ascendant Spirit. See, we're doing it. We're doing some stuff here. But the problem is, our opponent could just draw an Nadu at any point and the game is over. Because they draw, basically, their deck. Oh, wow. We managed to get a game. I will take that. Let's... Okay, we've already decided that the sideboard isn't the most useful thing in this matchup. So let's just go in again. Alright, I'll keep this. I can keep a Nadu off the board, and then we can start Frost Auguring to draw some cards. Depending on what we draw in our first hand, depends on which 1-drop we have. I'm kind of inclined to get this Frost Augur up and running. But then that does absorb a lot of our mana for a lot of time, and this is also our only blue card. So we have to see what we draw. If we draw a more disposable blue card, then so be it. Okay, we did not. So getting a basic here, so we use our Prismatic Vista for that one. Let's get Boreal Druid up and running. A Dryad Arbor, sure. Do they want to trade their Dryad Arbor for my Boreal Druid? Scrying Sheets. Would I rather Scrying Sheets a turn or deal them 1 damage? Because they're not going to block here. I think I would rather Scrying Sheets. I used to have a friend back in the day in Standard when this was around who played Snow White every week, week in, week out. Good fun times. The things we used to do to find card advantage in white decks back in the day. Now you just jam on 1 ring and stuff and call it a day. A Ponder from our opponent, that's not where we're pointing our Force of Will. We need to point our Force of Will either at the Delighted Halfling, Teferi, or like a Zenith / Nadu. Sometimes we maybe hit the Nomads, but they have multiple things that go with the Nadu. So hitting the Nadu tends to be better, but the deck is more designed to make the Nadu. Okay, so this is an annoying one. This means that Nadu is uncounterable. So we don't counter this, we don't really counter anything. I think step 1 is probably Scrying Sheets. See if we find anything. A Dark Depths. I'll put it into my hand. I think we probably do have to answer this, because if we don't answer this... Like, we don't have removal for this. We just have to make sure that this doesn't get into play, because this makes all their other stuff that's horrible uncounterable. And hopefully we can Scrying Sheets our way toward... Okay, we're going to get Veiled Summoned anyway. Sure. Alright. That was a horrible, horrible exchange. Force of Negation. Alright, let's Scrying Sheets. Okay, we don't want that card. It's on top of our library now as well, which is not really what I want. I'd like to shuffle this, so I guess we're playing this land out. And I think I'm just going to go and get a forest and play out this Boreal Druid. Means we're a bit shy of blue mana right now. Our opponent probably suspects that we have a counterspell because we Force of Willed the Halfling. So they might be reluctant to play a Greenthorn Zenith. But they can play a Nadu, but they need to have something to go with it. If they have the Nomads, then yeah, we can just scoop it up. This is a Teferi, I think. Yeah, can't be countered. We don't have anything worth bouncing here, so... Oh, our opponent disagrees. They want to get that 1 damage in. That seems bad. We can just attack back with the... I guess I didn't want us to have 2 1/1s to attack the Teferi, but you just plus the Teferi there. I don't know. Okay. Let's activate this. Maybe we're supposed to use the colourless mana here. Ugh. Let's play this Thespian stage out. So we're representing a Marit Lage potentially next turn for our opponent. So they have one more turn cycle to deal with that. Maybe we can get there with it. If we draw a blue card, that would be aces. So play this one out. How many Scrying Sheets here? 1, 2. And we don't have enough mana to activate depths. Okay, so it's either or here. Does that mean we're supposed to play out this Boreal Druid? I think it probably does, right? Our opponent might well have access to a Swords to Plowshares. They haven't fired one off yet this game. What is this? Chord of Calling. Oh no, they can cast instant speed Green Sun Zenith because of course they can. So we don't get to interact with this. They don't have the other part of the Nadu combo yet. So I guess we're still in a game. But as soon as they find a Bristly Bill or a Nomads, then we can just scoop this one up. Because our opponent's going to be drawing minimum 8 cards a turn cycle. Yep, sure. Boy, howdy, do I dislike Nadu still being legal. Alright, let's go to round 4 and see if we can play against something that isn't Nadu. Because we did pretty well against a Temper deck. And if it wasn't for really subpar draws, I think we have that one. Alright, let's go to round 4. Okay. I would like some more land that actually taps for mana. So I think we probably mulligan this one. Alright, this looks better. But we'll keep this. We'll make a decision as to what we're doing with our Dark Depths. I think given the nature of this hand, I'm going to just bin off this Dark Depths. So we can refuel pretty easily next turn with the Glacial Revelation. As you've seen throughout this league, this card has absolutely slapped for us. Now, some may argue the cards that it's drawing aren't always the most powerful thing. And that's a little bit hard to argue against. But 3 mana, draw 5. I'll take it. Alright, once upon a time you're playing against Eldrazi. Playing against Cloudpost. Playing against Cradle Control. I haven't seen Cradle Control for ages. Mycospawn. Spawn. Okay, so it's Eldrazi or Cloudpost. Okay, it's still most likely to be Eldrazi. Okay, the Lotus Petal does it. So they're going to have a turn 2 Mycospawn. Spawn. Cool. They could even be kicked on turn 2. That's a doozy, isn't it? Go and get an island here. What is our plan? I think we Glacial Revelation here. Just gives us more food for our Force of Will. Oh wow. This is the worst one we've had so far. Just a 3 mana draw 3. Okay, so we have to pitch either the Ascendant Spirit or the Uro. Given our current mana situation, I'm more inclined to pitch this Uro than the Ascendant Spirit. We got snow mana, we don't have blue, blue, green, green. Yep, sure. Turn 2, so Mycospawn. Spawn. I don't think it's where we point our Force of Wills. A Wasteland. Okay, that's fine. Like, they've seen the Dark Depths, so I can understand why they've got it. But I can live with this one. Okay, I don't really need to play out into it. Do I want our opponent to spend this Wasteland? That's a different question, I guess, isn't it? So then we go Ascendant Spirit here. Play out this. Do I want to force our opponent to Wasteland just to keep them off of mana? This is I can use this kind of like a Wasteland. Okay, I'm going to try and use this like a Wasteland, weirdly. Let's see if our opponent goes for it. They might just see this as bait for the Dark Depths. They didn't go for it. Okay, they're going for it now. Alright, that's kind of what I wanted to happen. That leaves us able to make a Marit Lage later on. I don't think we're activating that when we have this Ascendant Spirit to put a load of mana into. Blast Zone. Jeez. Yikes. GG's, my board. Okay. That was a pretty solid turn. Our opponent's still got 5 in their grip over there. Yuck. Prismatic Vista. That's not really the one we want right now. Okay, Uro. Let's get you going. Like, it's fine. It allows us to have an Uro next turn. If we don't get Kozilek's commanded out of our graveyard. So a blue card to pitch to the Kozilek's command would be nice. I guess we could have played the Dark Depths into attacks are green due to their own Yavimaya. But we have Force of Will to stop the Kozilek's command. Uro is going to be bigger than this. We just don't want to see another Mycospawn. That's how we lose this game right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they can't kick it unless they've got like a Lotus Petal or a Spirit Guide. Obviously going Fleshraker and friends are horrible. But we can see... Are we supposed to counter the Fleshraker or are we supposed to counter the K command? Like, how are we losing with a 6/6 that gains 3 life a turn and draws us a card? Against their deck full of 3/3s and 2/2s? I I think it is protect the queen, and the queen is Uro. And the scariest thing they can do off of a Fleshraker is Kozilek's Command anyway. Okay, there's a Kozilek's Command. Say no to this. So that's our opponent's turn, most likely. And now we get to untap and make an Uro. Do I crack this Prismatic Vista, or do I save the life point, which might end up being relevant somewhere down the line? Let's see what we draw, and then we can make some decisions. Okay, blue, 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 green, green. Let's cast this Uro. And it doesn't really matter what we get rid of here. I'll play this snow-covered island, I guess. I'll play this Dark Depths. So our opponent spends time wastelanding this. They're not dealing with our Uro. We also have this Ice-Fang that we can deploy because of their Yavimaya. When Dark Depths taps for mana, it feels so much better. They really should have just printed this so it taps for like one colourless or something. I think that would have been fine. So they can double block here. But we can then just play another Uro again. Marit Lage, Slumber. Let's attack. Are we attacking with this one? Yeah, let's get the points in. I'll put this in. If they double block, we just replay the Uro. If they don't, then we play the Marit Lage, Slumber. Let's scry one. We don't want this. Put on the bottom of the library. I will crack this. I will go and get this forest. Let's scry again. A Force of Will. I like having access to the Force of Will. I'll leave it on top. We'll see what our opponent does. Maybe we shuffle it away, or maybe we draw it with the Ice-Fang. We can't draw it with the Ice-Fang and deploy it. But if we can go to our next turn and just sit there with a Force of Will in hand, I feel like we're in pretty good shape to just take this one down, because Uro is going to be big in their creatures. It's going to give us a nice little wedge of life to work with. Okay, so we don't want the Force of Will anymore. Although the Force of Will counters the Kozilek's Command, which is the only thing we actually care about, I think. So we'll make that decision based on what our opponent does here. This looks like a Thought-Knot Seer. Oh, it's a Null Drifter. Yeah, that's a pretty spicy one, isn't it? So this automatically scries anyway. So I think we probably scry the Force of Will away, and then we can crack and scry again. Fleshraker after the Null Drifter is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So we get to make a Marit Lage as well next turn, and that is a pretty solid plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we do need to take this 3 in order to get the Marit Lage next turn. Right, so let's fire this one in. We will scry away the... Do we scry away the Force of Will here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can just have the Force of Will in hand. That's honestly fine. It stops the Kozilek's Command, which is one of the main ways we lose the game. Glacial Revelation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not a thing that we can immediately cast. Oh my god. I passed through and didn't get my Marit Lage Slumber trigger. Oh, that is such a absolute farce. I absolutely just punted this game. Good. Good for me. Okay, let's get this going. I will put this into play. Yeah, we should have had a 2020 in play right now. And we now have to wait a turn. That could be everything. Right, so we have a Force of Will to counter Kozilek's Command. That's the only thing we're really interacting with here. Is this going to be a Thought-Knot Seer? That would be annoying. A Waste-Scape Battle Mage. Yeah, we are heavily punished for not making 2020. Now, this would have just bounced our 2020. So it's not the end of the world. But it's certainly annoying. So they're bouncing our Uro. Don't get to do anything about that. We're getting some Fleshraker damage. Like, we would have had the Uro in play instead of the Marit Lage. So, you know, it was objectively a mistake that is going to come back to haunt me. So this can go and get us a non-basic at end step if we want, but do want to pay the life when our opponent can deal us damage in increments of 1. Probably not. We don't need the cards in graveyard for the Uro. There is the marginal thinning that maybe finds us a Thespian stage. Okay, our opponent didn't fancy it. No attacks. Let's make an Uro. I do not want to put one of these in. Green, green, blue, blue. So we have a blue card for our Force of Will in case we need to stop the Kozilek's Command. Prismatic Vista, sure, I'll take that. It's a forest. Just get that Uro damage right into their heart. Sowing Myco Spawn. With some amount of kick going on here. They're exiling our Dark Depths. Like, that is what it is. They probably get a... what's it called? Guy's Cradle here. That will give them all the mana to then activate the Ivy and probably deploy something else. Am I supposed to counterspell this Sowing Myco Spawn? Just so they don't have an easy block on our Uro. I don't think so. Oh, imagine if we had that 2020 as well now. Obviously they would just go and shoot her up. Oh, they'd shoot up her wastes. They not have the Cradle. Surely just get the Cradle and shoot there. Okay, that's good news for us. I don't think we would counterspell this since they didn't get the Cradle. City of Traitors. Oh, they can activate their Ivugin. Not cracking these. Life points are important. We will attack with the Uro here. We can then crack them and get towards putting an Uro in, potentially. Just a chump block. Okay. I then go for the double Myco Spawn block. Okay, they're using the Myco Spawn. Paying a lot of life for the pleasure. Do they have something really big in here? Like, they've got something like Big Emrakul, then we're in trouble. Could just be an Ulamog, that's pretty bad too. It's another Null Drifter. Have they got the Devourer of Destiny? Yeah, that's pretty good. Truth be told. Right, let's Glacial Revelation. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. So we've still got a land drop we can play this turn if we want to. Scrying Sheets probably makes sense. We should probably work out what we're actually spending our mana on this turn though. The Uro and the Force of Will are going to be bedfellows here. I think we are deploying an Ohran Viper. A Frost Augur. We need permanents to sacrifice as well here. And then we can deploy the Scrying Sheets and the Ohran Viper here. So we can exile our Uro, and then we can immediately play and deploy another one. Although we might have to use this Force of Will if our opponent has something like Kozilek's Command. But every turn they are getting more and more resources out of their deck using the Eye of Ugin. Eldrazi doesn't really feel like an aggro deck anymore. It's this sort of like grindy mid-range deck that also can combo kill you on turn 2. So it's kind of a weird place to be. Do I want them to have a 6/6 body? Or am I just trying to counter... I think we can deal with a 6/6 body. We have Death Touch. I think what we're actually worried about is Kozilek's Command. Oh, we can't counter this anyway if we wanted to. Thanks to Counter Souls. But Counter Souls can't make the Kozilek's Command uncounterable. So we can always trade this Ohran Viper for any creature. And if we can find the Thespian stage, we can at least attempt to win on that front. Right, I'm going to attack with my Ohran Vipers. Would you like to put anything under the bus? Right, so trading off a Sowing Myco Spawn. Let's trading off 2 Sowing Myco Spawns. Not the best trade in the history of Magic the Gathering. But I will clear these guys. Okay, so blue, green, green. Let's get Uro. So I'll put this Rimewood Falls in. Ascendant Spirit is very good here. How much mana do we have to funnel? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is what we actually need. But we can start jamming this. Is that better than an Uro? Can we do both? Yes, we can. Green, green. Oh wait, we don't have the second blue now, do we? Yeah, that was the issue. We could have fetched up another blue source, I suppose. We don't want to play this. I think we Scrying Sheets here. I haven't played a land drop yet. So we could activate this Frost Augur. We'd probably activate it on blocks if we need to. And then next turn we just start going large with our Ascendant Spirit. Still holding up this force for the Kozilek's Command. I suspect they're just tutoring for another Devourer of Destiny. How many they run in their deck? Could be for the full 4. Which is going to be a real pain to grind through. We do have more time on our clock than our opponents, so maybe we can grind this one out. There is a Devourer of Destiny. This feels like a game of Limited almost. Board stally type stuff. Just sitting behind our little 1/1 death touches while our opponent is making massive yachts. And it's very much the Limited experience. So this Ascendant Spirit is going to die to their Devourer. Which means our Uro doesn't die to it. Our Ascendant Spirit is the one that's going to go here. Makes sense. At some point, our opponent might attack us. Or they might just try and kill us with Fleshraker. But as long as they don't resolve a Kozilek's command, we're okay. What we really don't want to see is a Thought-Knot Seer. That is going to be the pain. Okay, we'll let them have this. Actually, we don't have another land to fetch, actually. Another Fleshraker. I suspect we see this one. Is this one a counterspell? Because I have the option of counterspelling this. Do I think I can just beat them playing, doing us 4 damage a turn? I think I can. That's just 1 damage a turn once our Uro's up and running. Doesn't feel great, though. We're getting attacks in here. The Wastegate Battle Mage and the 6/6. Okay, I'm going to go to blocks here. And then I'm going to activate this. Because we might be attacking with our Ice-Fangs in the near future. Not many cards left in our deck, is there? We could also just drain the counters off of the Dark Depths if we really wanted to. Alright. Green, green, blue, blue. Let's get this Uro down. Get this Thespian stage. We have a 20/20 now. That's not bad. Am I activating this Glacial Revelation? I think so. So we need this mana, and 2. So we could just make a 20/20 now. They will just tutor up the guy that bounces it. But then they're not tutoring up anything else. And we get to use... Yeah, and then we get to use our Dark Depths in hand as mana. I think that's okay. And play the Ascendant out. So we can remove 2... We can put 2 things onto this. We need to keep this Frost Augur in hand. So we probably just play out this Boreal Druid. Small mana for next turn, more chump blockers. Am I attacking with these 2 1/1s? I think so. Or do I attack with 1/1/1? And then the Ascendant Spirit is lethal next turn. Yeah, I'll take that 1 damage. Okay, they're not going to block with the Null Drifter, sure. What a game this is. So they can tutor any monster. They showed us they don't have any big monsters. They just have Devourers and Null Drifters at the top of their curve. I imagine it's probably a 3-1 split. But we have some lethal threats coming along. They need to answer our Marit Lage. They probably need to answer this as well. Is this Force of Vigor we've been sat on for the entire game waiting for this Kozilek's command? Is it going to be the difference today? The Ancient Tunes are a very real cost for our opponent to tap if they want 2 mana out of them. Is this just going to be a big Kozilek's command? Or is this just tutoring for something with Ivugin? This looks like a tutor. It is a tutor. We can't do anything about that. What would you like to find, opponent? They have 2 things. Devourer of Destiny. So they can cast this. They can't cast this right now. They need 1 more mana. They don't have the thing that makes it cost 1 less in play. Have they got a Spirit Guide? Oh, wow. We got the game. They just didn't have enough mana to it. They needed to tap their Ancient Tomb for 2 life. But if they do that, then we have 3 flying attackers, and they're on 2. All right. What a game. Okay, so Winter's Rest. This card looks like it's going to be okay, but not great. Is that a card we want in that case? Force of Vigor. I don't really think we want that. Are we just going in again as we started? I think we might be. Do I want the Force of Vigors in case they have a Chalice on 1? I think that is a reasonable concern. Game is probably not going to be about the Graven Lores, is it? Let's have just a couple in there. The problem with creatures these days is the actual body is such a tertiary part of what the cards do. It's a really weird play experience. I prefer when creatures, you know, they had to do their attacking and blocking to get their sort of worth. I'll keep this. We have Force of Wills that may or may not be useful. Our opponent is also quite far behind on clock, so we could just grind this one out. Not really how I want to win the game, but when we're doing fun Christmas decks, we certainly need a little bit of help. No Chalice for 1. Good to know. A Boreal Druid, sure. So we can get Uro rolling from turn 2 if we want. We can't play it until turn 4 from the graveyard, but we can... Actually, that's not true. If we're playing an additional land, we might be able to play it on turn 3. Cavern of Souls. Hello, Force of Will. You look rubbish right now. What is this going to be? A Chalice of Void where X equals 1. So that shuts down Ascendant Spirit. It shuts down... Let's have a look at our deck quickly. So it shuts down this pile of cards. Frost Augur, pretty weak. Ascendant Spirit is good, but we can try and blow this up later. I don't think this is our fight. If this was a Chalice on 2 to stop us casting things like Ice-Fang, that might be a very different kettle of fish. And we drew a Force of Vigor anyway. Let's crack this. Go and get our basic island. Just try and get Uro rolling here. Pretty good addition to the deck, I would say, Uro. Not really a shocker given the power of this card. But not even close to the best one blue-green card that exists. What a world. Alright, I'll put this snow-covered forest in. We do not have access to the Uro next turn unless we draw a blue source. And as part of the price of playing the snow deck, we have to play on basics because all the ends of the battlefield tap lands are just not really good enough. A wasteland, sure. We can play the Scrying Sheets out as a way of making our opponent use a wastelander here. They could be playing a Stone Mica Spawn this turn. They have colourless mana off of this cavern, which is not what they want if they want their spell to be uncounterable. But if they're casting a Thought-Knot Seer, though, they have colourless mana from the other lands. I think this is just a misclick and they will undo it and go back. Unless this is just a Kozilek's Command. It's exactly the sort of thing we've been trying to counterspell this game. Boop. There we go. I will use my other force, so I'm not sure when we're going to get use out of it. Marit Lage's Slumber. We don't get to cast this and the Ice-Fang, which is really irritating. If we play the Scrying Sheets, we can get the Marit Lage's Slumber and the Scrying Sheets activation. That is reasonable. Dark Depths. Is that where I want to be? This is a guaranteed draw off of this. I think it's okay. Oh, we're supposed to activate this in response since we know what the card is. We missed a potential additional scry there. Actually, I guess we don't need to do this right now. They're going to go after our Scrying Sheets before they know about our Dark Depths. They are indeed. Having lands that just draw cards is pretty cool. You don't have to sacrifice it. Another wasteland. Okay, so they have our Dark Depths covered. Are we going to see another Kozilek's Command? Alright, their Wastegate Battle Maging are Marit Lage's Slumber. You go ahead, opponent. Enjoy. Blue source, please. Like a blue fetch land. Okay. Are we playing this out now? I think we are playing one out now. Because if we find the land, and it's like an enters the battlefield tap land, we want to make sure we get it down. Okay. I am okay to play this Dark Depths out to bait our opponent into wastelanding it to have less mana. That is my plan with this land. And if they don't wasteland it, then we get some other purchase with it because we might be able to... If they're using this for a spell, maybe we get to Thespian stage next turn. I don't want to trade my 1-1 for a 2-2. I think this has got bigger fish to fry. Also, we are winning the race if it stays at parity. I don't expect it to stay at parity, but we can punish this Ancient Tomb. A Yavimaya. Okay, so now our Dark Depths taps for mana. Thank you, opponent. Thought-Knot Seer. Can't be countered. What do we want to do here? Do I want to blow up this Chalice of the Void at the cost of 2 cards and they take our Force of Will? Honestly, I don't care. The way we get punished here is if they take the Force of Vigor and we draw the Ascendant... What's it called? That would suck for us. They took the Ice-Fang. I suspected that was what was going here. It is easily the best card in our hand in this current board state. It has 1 card in hand. Are we going to lose our Dark Depths? We can manually remove a counter off it. And I will. A Boreal Druid. This does not do anything. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to play the Boreal Druid into the Chalice so that we have enough cards in our graveyard for the Uro. Yep. That is our game plan right now. Uro is better than our opponent's creatures. If they try to wasteland our Dark Depths, we will blow up their Chalice. We'll probably blow up their Chalice at end step anyway, but we maybe get something else going alongside it. Once upon a time. This could be a bit scary for us. They've used the Cavern here, which is a choice, I would say. I guess they know what our hand is, so they don't really care. But they also have green mana as well. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. It was a choice, and it was probably a correct one, given the current board state. Glaring Fleshraker. Good cards are good, as it turns out. There is Fleshraker, but they are low on resources. I don't think they attack with their Thought-Knot Seer. They just try and win. I don't want to block this. This is holding back 4 damage a turn. Let's just take that out. So now we have enough cards. If we draw a blue source, we can make Uro. Come on, Uro. We did not draw the blue source for Uro. We did draw a card that is relatively okay on this board. It draws us extra cards. It trades with anything in combat. Maybe they hold back the Battle Mage to stop us drawing extra cards. Because they know as soon as we get the Uro up and running, this can really run out of control for them. Oh, don't be a Kozilek's Command. Don't do that to me. I can't think of any 5-drops in their deck. They could have a Reality Smasher. You haven't seen one of those for a while. I don't think they have that though. I think this is a Kozilek's Command for 3. And it's going to make me very sad. Could be a Wastegate Battle Mage. So they've got the green mana, so maybe they're trying to kick something. Or they could be doing a Same Mycospawn Spawn of floating mana. No, it's Kozilek's Command. I feel it. There it is. And we lose our Uro here. And they're going to create some spawns. So we still have the Ohran Viper. But if we had just hit the land earlier on. So our opponent has to win this game and the next game in 5 minutes. Now their deck is certainly capable of that because the busted draws of their deck are pretty busted. Alright. This Ohran Viper is going to remove one of their Eldrazi tokens from the game. Boom. Eat it. Not having this second island is really jamming me up this whole game. I don't believe we had any choice to fetch anything any differently than we did. Another Flesh Raker. Yep, things are getting a little bit spooky over there. But given the clock, we're going to try and take our little cheese win. Now, we could be able to win game 3. That's perfectly possible. We did win game 1. We ground our opponent out nicely. I think our deck into the Pharaoh decks is actually okay. We have a lot of grind. What's attacking me? Anything? Just a 2-2. Again, I don't think we are fighting the 2-2 yet. This is holding back so much more damage. Thespian stage, whilst their Wasteland is tapped. Okay, here goes nothing. We should have tapped the Dark Depths for it itself, but whatever. Alright, I'm not going to attack with the Ohran Viper now. This can just block the Wastegate Battle Mage. They have to kill us this turn, which is doable. Or they have to remove our Marit Lage with either the Devourer or the Bouncy Boy. Wastegate Battle Mage. They're going to 2 life here. Is this just a K command? Is there another K command? I don't like K command. I don't think it's an amazing piece of design. Okay, so we're losing our Marit Lage. And we're also going to be taking 2, 4, 6 damage. So we're going to be going pretty low here. We gave it a college try though. I believe in our power to win the game in 3 minutes versus our opponent, or at least not lose the game. What are you attacking with here? They attack with everything and we don't die, but we do die a turn after. This is a terrible attack because we just get to clean this up like we've been wanting to, and this cleans up the Wastegate Battle Mage. So they just lose 2 creatures for nothing and we get to draw a card. Well, they get rid of one of our guys. Okay, we drew that blue source that we needed a million years ago. What is the plan here? Ascendant Spirit, what do you do? Our opponent has got 1 card in hand. Let's play this out. We can't pump it twice anyway. But we could play out this Dark Depths. Alright, we're not dead this turn. And any time we can shave off our opponent's clock is going to be helpful. The chess clock is part of Magic Online. Chance of the Void Echoes 1. This is a colourless spell. This is going to deal us quite some damage here. Let's put some counters on this. Let's do it again. Just burn our opponent's clock down a touch there. We're going to die till the Flesh Raker triggers. Okay, sideboard game. How do we feel? If we're trying not to lose the game, we probably want these Winter's Rests in. Truth be told. And they're probably going to be better than Ohran Viper. They're probably going to be better than Frost Augurs. We're not trying to grind this one out. We're trying not to lose it. I think that... Do we want the Force of Negations just for the Kozilek's Command? Problem is they do it in our turn and it's not very helpful. Alright, and then we're just going to have these Winter Rests in instead of Frost Augurs. Arguably we could have made that switch anyway. But I do like the grind here. I will keep this. I think we are getting the Ascendant Spirit down. This is the card that can actually win the game and checks a lot of our opponent's blockers. Really punishes Ancient Tomb starts as well. I'm a big fan of that lowest. If there's a Flesh Raker, I think we just hit it with the Force. Let's just get rid of that. That's the thing that can win in the game quickly. And that's the one thing we don't want to happen. Another Force of Will. Would have been nice if we had another blue card. Was not to be. We'll fix our colours. We will punish our opponent's life total. If we draw a land, we Glacial Revelation most likely. Just to make sure we have this Force of Will to sit behind. Chalice for 1, don't care about that. Means we're not casting this Boreal Druid, but probably won't anyway. Force of Vigor. Ugh. What are we doing here? We could Force of Vigor this next turn, and I think we're just attacking with our Ascendant Spirit. That is a little bit awkward for us. A land there would have been really good. Firing this off almost certainly finds us a blue card. Well, they're not doing anything, so we get a chance to keep going here. Faceless Haven. Alright, I would very much like to draw 5 cards, please. Is this going to be a Kozilek's Command? Just dismember, sure. We don't get to counterspell that because we don't have any blue cards. But I will happily draw 4 cards here. Just gas right back up. We've also put an Uro in the graveyard. So a Yavimaya is a really scary thing for them to deploy at this point. We also know we've got 2 Death Touch blockers. That's going to be a lot to get through. They're going to need a Glaring Fleshraker plan. I don't care about this. They also don't have a Cavern yet, so we can Force of Will the scariest thing our opponent does. Uro. We don't get to put this Uro into play. I will play this Faceless Haven. I will... Which one is the one that was activated this turn? Which one is newly into play? I don't know. Because we could bash our opponent for 4 here and then switch off their Ancient Tombs or kill their guy. But I don't know which one is which. I'm going to try and Google and see if it tells me. Okay, newly controlled. You have to right-click it. So this is the one that we want to activate, I think. This one becomes a 4/3 creature with Vigilance. We will attack. Do you want to lose both your Ancient Tombs? Or you want to lose your creature? Either way, that is a trade for me when we're sat on this Force of Will and you've got 2 minutes 11 seconds. Yavimaya. So a blue source gets us Uro. I don't even know if they're supposed to play that Yavimaya unless they're casting a spell right now. It does allow their Ancient Tombs to do stuff. Again, we don't care about this card. We put our opponent in a very similar position yet again. Prismatic Vista. Let's go and get blue source. Cast this Uro. This is a pretty big game now. I'll put this into play. This gets us access to an instant speed Ohran Viper if we want it. Sorry, not Ohran Viper, Ice-Fang Coatl. Too many snakes to remember. Something big this way comes. Is it going to be the Devourer? That just takes out our guy. That does take out our guy. I think we can just Winter's Rest this and that's fine. We can kill this if we want to. And I think I do want to do that. Let's go card. I think this time it's worth doing that. We're just trying to keep our life total high enough so we don't get womboed out by anything. This game is very, very much in our control. We are miles ahead here. We'll go blue in this. We will Winter's Rest this. Go to sleep. And then we could play this Ohran Viper. Yeah. No, we could... Okay, our opponent scooped it up. And we got a match. Honestly, our deck felt pretty reasonable in this matchup. Like I said, when we're not playing against the broken Nadu stuff, our deck doesn't feel unreasonable. We very nearly beat the Delver deck. We weren't like a million miles away from beating it. So we're going for our final round, see if we can get some play points back. I think we deserve some play points back. The deck is obviously struggling horribly against Nadu, but against other stuff, I believe. Let's go to that final round. Our opener has 1 land on the play. We are not keeping this. We don't have any coloured mana, so this one has to go back. And then we found a 5 that is playable. We keep this. I don't really want the Boreal Druid, and I guess we get rid of 1 Uro. Uro can catch us back up later on. I think we're very much on the Ascendant Spirit, pump Ascendant Spirit, at some point use an Ice-Fang. I hope my opponent isn't playing Nadu. Chrome Mox. Alright, we might be getting stormed here. We do have 4 additional counterspells in the sideboard. This could just be mono red prison though. Solitude. Okay, this could be like mono white initiative? Archon of Emeria. Huh. Well, that's annoying. Faceless Haven doesn't do what we need. Non-basic lands. Prismatic Vista. You're like an honorary non-basic, an honorary basic land. You should be fine here. But you are not. So we play this land tapped, and our opponent gets to develop a lot better than we do here. They only get one spell a turn, but their land's coming untapped. Okay, so it's red-white initiative. Haven't seen this deck around for a while. It basically was really bad in the previous meta. So we're going to see if it's changing up at all. If they play something with initiative. They did not play something with initiative. Interesting. So we play this one out. I will attack our opponent for 1 here, leaving up the option of pumping it if something weird happens. And then our plan now is to just like Ice-Fang our opponent's stuff, because this will get us a basic. Cavern of Souls, almost certainly naming human. Oh, Goblin. Well, correct me. I was wrong. Is this going to be Rabble Master? It's Broadside Bombardiers. That is quite the potent Magic the Gathering card. Let's go and get a Forest here and give our opponent 2 things to choose to kill. What they probably do is they throw the Archon at the Ascendant Spirit. Oh, well, they got a Plow here. They can't cast it because they've already cast a spell this turn. So they have to throw something. But they have shown us they have a Plow, so they can probably just clean up both of our guys if they want to. Right, throw in the Chrome Mox. I don't know if I like that particular way around of doing it. That's fine. Uro might be a little bit slow for where we're at right now, but so is the Ascendant Spirit. Glacial Revelation. So our land comes in tapped anyway, so that's not the end of the world. Are we Glacial Revelationing here? I don't think so. Ohran Viper might be okay here. Pumping this doesn't feel great. We don't get to actually play the Ohran Viper. It's either the Uro or the Glacial Revelation, or pumping our guy. If we pump our guy for 2, they go to 13, they crack us back for 4, but then can also throw us for another 5. I think it's the Uro. This can be big enough if we can find the right mana here and they start killing our guys. Or we could just backdoor our way into a 2020. That will die to their Plow, but they telegraphed they had a Plow earlier when they tried to attack their Chrome Mox. So we know they've got a Plow. And if they use it on our Marit Lage, that's 20 life, which gives us a bit more time to try and grind our way back into this one. Our opponent's 1 spell for the turn is Lotus Pearl. Is this just going to be a burn spell to the face or killing our spirit? We will see. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So we can't get quite what we need just yet. 1, 2, 3. We also can't. So you play. We know they have a Plow, so they will just Plow our Faceless Haven. I think the plan here is to Glacial Revelation. We could play the Ohran Viper. If we play the Ohran Viper, the Glacial Revelation just sets up the Uro for next turn though. Ugh. Like we are setting up our Uro, so that's something, but quite how we wanted it. Let's attack with this. It's not blocking on this current board. If they have a Plow, do they even want to use it on this rubbish like 1, 1, 2, 3 kind of guy? This is a nice mana sink for whilst our ability to cast multi-spells isn't available. I'm not doing anything else with our mana. Maybe they didn't want to take the make us gain slightly less life by hitting that one. So they might be able to kill us this turn if they have like another Broadside Bombardiers. That's what, 2, 4, 6, and then they can fire us for 10. Right, just shooting us with the Lotus Petal. But this time we get to make Uro. That feels pretty good. So, green. Oh, we need to go and get another green or blue source. I think we want a green source here. We cast the Uro. Green, green, blue, blue. I think we don't attack this turn, because we can double block the Broadside Bombardiers and we can counter their 1 spell for turn with our Force of Will. We know they have a Plow, so we might have to counter now, but again, that's fine. Like, they haven't been playing anything that commits to the board. Also, they don't have the white mana for Plow right now. Honestly, this one feels pretty even. If they draw a Plains, it might make things interesting. Lotus Petal, that's their 1 spell for turn. This doesn't work great for them. If they attack with both creatures, they lose the Bombardiers. So they can just poke us with Archon of Emeria, which is whatever, right? We're definitely attacking with the Uro, though. So we're relying on our Force of Will to make sure we don't randomly stack it and die. Okay. I think I want to attack with both of my creatures here. Oh, we got a Plow coming in. I do not want you to plow my creature. This is a 2-turn clock anyway. If we attack with this, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1, 2, 3, isn't it? To make it a 4/4. This isn't lethal, but turns off their Ancient Tombs. And puts us to 8, but they have lethal on the crackback right now. But we can go 1, 2, 3, and then play the Ice-Fang in their turn. This is 5, 6, 7. That is a tough call. So this attacks for 2, and this gets flung for 5. So that is a total of 7 damage if we block this. I just want them to not be able to cast anything else. So I think we attack with both here. See what we find. Nothing of note. Okay. I guess we could have fired this up as well and forced a chump block. Maybe that's smarter. If we go 1, 2, 3, fire this up, then they have to block here. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a spew there. So as long as we get to block here, I think we're okay. But if we'd have attacked with this, they would have had to have chump blocked with the Broadside Bombardiers. So I think we might have cost ourselves the game on that one. See if the Ice-Fang's good. All right, we got the block in. Our opponent cannot kill us right now. They can put us to 1. I still think the better line is to force the block with the Broadside. Do they have a way of dealing us 1 damage? They do not. All right. To the sideboard. I suspect this Force of Vigor is going to have some impact, and I quite like the Winter's Rest here as well. I think we probably just get rid of the Augur in favour of Winter's Rest. Keeps our blue count the same. I like the Ohran Viper. I like the Ure. How do I feel about our other bits and pieces here? Ascendant Spirit is pretty solid into our opponent. We do need the Force of Wills to stop some of their annoying bits and pieces. There's an argument to keep the Frost Augur just because it can attack, but I don't. I guess we can take out 1 Ohran Viper because the green cost could potentially be difficult. And maybe 1 Glacial Revelation. No, this is the Graven Lores, but then do we have enough blue cards? Let's put them in a pile and find out. 59 cards total, so we need to add 1 more card. We currently have 21 blue cards, which is enough. But we can add another blue card if we want it, or we can add the Glacial Revelation. Or the Ohran Viper. And the Glacial Revelation, that just cheats us into an early Ure. I think that's better for us. This is a pretty slow hand. I don't really like having double stage here. I think we can do better. Okay, this looks better to me. We got double removal spell. I think I'm going to bin off this Misty Rainforest. And hopefully we can use some combination of Boreal Druid or lands off the top to get our Glacial Revelation popping off. We want to use the Vista first because the Vista gives us a delay if we're underneath the Archon of Emeria. Let's play a guy that's not good enough for you to remove opponent. So what the Winter's Rest will do is if they play an initiative creature, we can stop it in its tracks, take the initiative back, and then all of a sudden we're in a good spot. Now if they make hasty creatures, then they obviously get to attack and do stuff. That's very much a problem for later. So play this one out. I think we're just going to Glacial Revelation and draw a bunch of cards here. 3 cards, not the most. We don't have to discard, I guess, so there's that. But we have 3 removal spells in hand. We have a Faceless Haven, which is a reasonable sized creature. And it can attack quite well into a bunch of the things our opponent's deck has. City of Traitors. We have to be seeing one of the creatures now. Playing this into the face-up Winter's Rest suggests they must have a Solitude. If that's what they're playing. Obviously we don't know. This could be a 4th Eolingus. Yep, there it is. Okay, so we can get the Monarch here. And we can just kind of trade it backwards and forwards. Using a Winter's Rest on a Human Knight token isn't great. But we'll be doing it with one of our 3 Winter's Rests. So it doesn't seem quite so bad. It's a Revelation. But we want to get this in play now. Let's tap down this Knight. Red mana. We're going to see a Pyroblast hit. This is the punish for playing the Faceless Haven. We should have played this. And then we could have... I guess we don't have another blue source, so it doesn't matter. Okay, we don't get to cast in more of our spells. Alright, opponent. Not a bad little turn cycle for them. The old Simic Spirit Guide, Pyroblast. It's kind of like Force of Will blue card. Broadside Boomerdooms, that's going to be a horrible time for us. So we probably lose our Boreal Druid here. Do they keep this knight back? Or do they let us Faceless Haven them? Do I prevent some damage? I don't think I do. I think they're incentivized to throw this anyway. So we actually clean one up. We take 2 more, but because obviously they don't want us to have creatures that can attack into them. Yeah, there you go. So if we block, we prevent 1 damage. Let's say we take 1 more damage, but we get to clean up. We get to be a little bit cleaner with our play. So, on the one hand, I would very much like to stop this Broadside Bombardiers. If we Faceless Haven into this obvious Swords to Plowshares, it's not going to go well for us, is it? So I think we are on... If we play this Uro and it finds us any land, then we get to... Or any blue land, then we get to Winter's Rest as well. Alright, Uro, I believe in you. Find me that sweet, sweet island. Did not find us the sweet, sweet island, as it turns out. Rimewood Falls it is. Maybe I am the Rimewood Fool. Who knows? But we have Uro backed by removal and counter spells next turn. And that's not a terrible place to be. Are we going to be alive? Is our opponent going to have enough cards? Another one of these guys. I don't think we can just keep allowing them to bombardier us, because that doesn't go well for us. That's what? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, that's lethal if that hits. Didn't do the maths, but I played enough to know in a situation like this that it would kill me. Should I have done the maths? Definitely. Alright. Good old fourth Eolingus, said nobody ever. So we play this, it gets ploughed, but maybe we draw a Force of Will. We're doing this in a way that leaves up the best chance of casting something useful. So we can Winter's Rest the Broadside Bombardiers here. I think that is more important than holding up this Force of Will. Get rested. We're getting Pyroblasted. If they had a Pyroblast, they'd Pyroblast the Uro. This feels like a telegraphed plow. Now, they might just not have anything, and that's just how their mana worked out. I hope that's just how their mana worked out. All right, they didn't have a plow. You definitely 100% plow that Uro end step. Chrome Mox. Okay, is this just going to be a big fourth Eolingus? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is lethal if they have it, and we don't have a blue card. This feels like a massive fourth. X equals 6. That gives them enough enough attackers here. I guess the way we play around this is Force of Vigoring the Chrome Mox. We don't beat this, so we'll concede. Are we boarding in some Force of Negation to help against specifically fourth Eolingus? I don't think we are. Maybe we're supposed to do that instead of the Ohran Viper. Maybe that's a reasonable thing. I don't think it is though. Like they've shown us Pyroblast. I don't really want to get into that life. What does our hand do? It is very, very slow. And we can do better. We answer the first scary thing, and that is something. Do we need Dark Depths? It is potentially great against our opponent's deck, but I don't think we can. We're either throwing back the Faceless Haven or the Dark Depths, and the Faceless Haven actually taps for mana, so I think I've made my choice. Just get this terrible land in. No turn 1 drop. No turn 1 play from our opponent here. Thespian stage. Okay, slightly punish what we did there. I will play this non-basic so it comes in untapped in case they have the guy that changes things up. Alright, can we get 10 snow permanents before our opponent kills us? Let's find out. Maybe this is supposed to be our Force of Will card, but the Scrying is really useful. Oh, yes, please. I will take a piece of removal here. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That just provides so much value over time. I don't think I can allow that. It's just like one of the true engine cards in our opponent's deck. I will play out this Thespian stage with the intention of turning it into a Rimewood Falls, so at least I have more mana of the snow variety, so we can start attacking with our Faceless Haven if that's the situation we're in. Right, Cavern, glad we fired off that Force of Will when we did. A human spell. A Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Understood. Get some better mana. An Ohran Viper. That's something, isn't it? So we could trade our land for their Cozy Chaos Adventurer, but then it's still in the initiative. I think the play here is to play our land and scry and see if that informs our plan for next turn. Ascendant Spirit, that is just another guy, isn't it? I'll put that on top of my library. I think that's fine here. And then we will go green, green, 1, and deploy the Viper. Or scry again, but that doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're getting there. So we can try and trade with this Cozy Chaos Adventurer, or we can try and use this Winter's Rest to get rid of their creature. Let's see if they go big on the Forge. They are going into the Forge. Okay, so we're going to take a big hit for 7 this turn. They don't rip anything too good off the top with the ability, but let's find out. Cavern of Souls. They can't cast Fourth Eolingus this turn unless they have a Spirit Guide. Okay, an uncounterable Solitude on our poor little Ohran Viper. Okay. Well, that obviously sucks for us. I don't like that play. Yeah, so our opponent should have attacked first and see if they have the Solitude, because they can always flash us in combat. So I think our opponent made an objective mistake there. I don't think we're going to punish it. It was there. So we can't do all the things we want to do here. I will say goodbye and good night to this little guy. A Force of Will. I think the time has come and gone for Force of Will. I will play a creature. So we're going to take 8 next turn, but maybe we can stabilize soon. Faceless Haven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're a long way off of that. It does... I think this has to go on the bottom. We're looking for things like Ice-Fang or Thespian Stage, that sort of jam. If they have more creatures, they could deploy them and we'll be behind. Simic Spirit Guide. Is this just a big 4th Eolingus they found now? Because that is lethal. Yep. Gotta love these cards from these additional summer sets. Yeah. They certainly are some of the cards that have been printed. Alright. That is the end of the game and the end of the match and the end of the league. Finished with a rather sad 1 and 4. Not very Christmassy, if you ask me. However, the Delver matchup was very close, and I think we were very much in it against our opponent in the last round with the initiative. I think, so the game we lost where we had Force of Will and 2 green cards, if one of those cards is a blue card, we easily win that game. And, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So let's talk about the list. So we never got to do the Graven Lore thing. So that's a shame. How did this list feel overall? I think it felt a little bit better than the ones with the white in. Our mana base was a little bit more stable. Uro was a big addition to the deck that really helped us out. And the synergy it has with Glacial Revelation, just filling up your graveyard and putting an Uro in it immediately, is really strong. We had Life from the Loam before. We didn't really have enough to go with the Life from the Loam. I think the Glacial Revelation into Uro is a much stronger line. Ohran Viper, this card was certainly a card we played. It traded with some Eldrazi stuff. It was fine for what it was. It's no Psychic Frog, but, you know, what is? I think it would be nice to have some removal spells in the deck, but it's just a case of we don't really have great options if we're trying to play to the theme and maximize our revelations and stuff. Maybe the answer is we're not supposed to maximize them, but that's kind of like one of the more powerful things we're doing, is having this huge, like, you know, draw 5 in our deck for only 3 mana that can sometimes fuel an Uro and just power things out. The Frost Augur didn't get to do very much today, but the format is quite fast right now, so it's not really a surprise that these long grindy stuff didn't get there. But when we did manage to slow the game down, we could outgrind people. So that is something our deck has going for it. But in a meta with Nadu, you can't outgrind Nadu, which is the issue. It just kind of invalidates all other mid-range and late-game decks because nothing can keep up with that. So it's in an awkward spot in terms of the Nadu decks. I think if we played against 2 like fairer decks instead of Nadu decks, we'd probably come away with some play points in this one. It feels like into the fair decks, we're doing okay things. What we really want, though, is another snow set. If you're going to keep printing these summer sets, Wizards, please just give us more snow stuff so I can do fun things here. What this deck really wants, actually, is Arkham's Astrolabe to be unbanned. And that is not a thing that should happen because that is too good a card for what it does. It completely changes the rules of the game in terms of Legacy because it lets you play a really smooth mana base on basics and it has other value and all sorts of stuff. So it shouldn't be legal. But if it was, it would be the perfect card to help us out, because then we get to play like Dead of Winter and On Thin Ice without actually ruining our mana base, and that would be a huge boon to this deck. Unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So it's just a little fun Christmas Day deck for you all. But maybe one day when we get some more snow permanents, like there are some pretty good, like the Spirit seemed pretty reasonable. Obviously, Ice-Fang is just a great Magic the Gathering card. Faceless Haven was actually alright, I think. This was a nice addition that helped. And, Glacial Revelation, as we've already mentioned, was very good. Obviously, Marit Lage Slumber is the card we're trying to play this deck for because, it's DEPTHSMAS. Merry DEPTHSMAS to you all. And this card was kind of one of the focal points, this alongside the Dark Depths. We did make some 2020s. We won games with we won a game with 2020 in play. I think. Did we win that game with the 2020 in play? We definitely won some games where we made 2020s though. So we did the thing, and I hope you all had a lovely time. I'm struggling a little bit with the cold today when I'm recording this one, and my voice is a little bit on the sore side. But nevertheless, we had a fun time today. All right, that is it for DEPTHSMAS and kind of like the end of December. There will probably be a couple more Depths decks, but it's not going to be every day anymore because we've reached the climax, that is Merry DEPTHSMAS. So thank you all for joining me on DEPTHSMAS. Please remember to like and subscribe, especially if you want to see some more normal decks, because we're going to be playing something a bit more normal. I've been playing a lot of fun decks, and we need to be putting some wins back on the board, so we're going to be playing some better decks. And our midweek meta deck will be tomorrow for you. I moved it along so I can have Merry DEPTHSMAS for you all. All right, thank you so much for watching and joining me on this lovely venture into December. And goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.